Goodbye, Mama. Now you can have ice cream in heaven. I'll see you tonight when I go to bed in my head movies. But this head movie makes my eyes rain.
From the world-famous Blackbird Studios, it's the Rave X podcast. And now, Rave X.
Oh, come on. Stop your clapping. Stop your cheering. Sit down. Sit down already. I mean, honestly, the show's not going to be that good. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the show. Rave X podcast, episode 102. I'm your host, but definitely not your Negro, Marlon Waynes. So today's show, we're going to do something interesting, man. You know, I always try to do like a happy, feel-good pop culture type show, but today we're going to do sad moments, you know, like heartbreaking movie scenes. And we're not going to go too serious, man. And of course, there's thousands and thousands of heartbreaking scenes in movies. I just picked a couple that came to the top of my head. They're kind of random, but that's why you tune into this show, man. You know, there's millions of other podcasts, but you tune in for that special hot Rave X take on things, you know. And my band played a show last week in a basement. It was kind of a weird show. I didn't know what to expect, and we got there, and it was kind of whatever. There was a lot of people, a couple of bands. It got political really fast, you know. I didn't know it was going to be that type of show. A lot of F the police because of this, and a lot of how come we can't afford housing. And I get it. And, you know, the thing that I had to tell myself was there's no better place than when you're on stage to air out your grievances with society and with the police and with the man and with, you know, the way things are running. But the other conclusion that I came to is revolution is a young person's game. Your boy Rave X is, I'm not old, but I'm older, you know? And so hearing people who are a little bit younger than I am air out their grievances, I realize that's kind of a good thing, man. You know, the younger generation will pick up the torch and run with the protest because you can never stop fighting the powers that be. And I remember when I was younger fighting for affordable housing in the town that I grew up in that I could no longer afford to live in. And then hearing people sort of younger do that was kind of a good thing. But it was a really weird show. You know, it was one of these shows with no sound system. You just got your amps there. You're in a basement. The acoustics are weird. We had a lot of technical difficulties. We didn't get a lot of pictures for the show. I got a couple. I'll put them up if you're watching this. RaveX Music, youtube.com/RaveX Music. You'll see some of it. My drummer's snare drum just fell off the stand for some reason and rolled away. Like it didn't want to be there. It just rolled away. So then we had to deal with that. I just did a bass solo. He had to fix his double bass drum pedal. We had a lot of technical difficulties, man. And, you know, you don't get to play a lot of shows. At least I don't. And when you don't play a great show or just things happen and it's not a great show, it kind of makes me sad, man. It makes water come from my eyes. No. Anyway, at the top of the show, that was Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. If you've ever seen the movie Tropic Thunder, you know, he plays this character, Simple Jack. Oh, I'm going to cry because water come from my eyes, mama. I just thought it was funny for the show. But anyway, yeah, you know, my guitar player played great. I can count on him to sing his part and play his part. I don't got to worry. And of course, your boy Rock Hard Rave X knocked it out of the park. And I'll tell you, it was the first show that I played where I was really more, I don't want to say drunk, but inebriated. I had more to drink than I usually would. Once they started getting political, I'm like, F this, I'm just going to start drinking. And I was at that perfect place of having a few drinks, you know, a couple of shots, a couple of beers. I call it elegantly wasted, where I was just in the zone. I was just, like the music is just like comforting you, like someone wrapped you in a nice warm blanket of music, you know. And at least I had that. Anyway, RaveX Podcast number 102, Heartbreaking Movie Scenes. Number 5, we're going to go 5 to 1. The list is kind of arbitrary, guys. You know, I got to put them in some type of list, so don't give me too much crap for it. Number 5, we're going to go to 1978 to a movie called Superman. There's one scene that always stood out to me from this. When Superman's dad dies on the farm, you know, and Superman and his dad, they're hanging out, they're on the farm, they're looking up at the stars, and Superman's dad is telling him, Clark, if it's one thing I know, son, is that you were brought here for a reason. And, you know, they never say it, but you assume his family, you know, they're from Kansas, they're probably God-fearing Christians, you know. And he's telling his alien son, Clark Kent, Superman, of course, before he's Superman, that the one thing he does know, son, is that he was brought here for a reason. And the mom comes out on the porch and she says, "Boys, dinner's ready." And Clark Kent, being such a good person, and that's what this scene told me, is what a great person Clark Kent was. He taps his dad on the arm, kind of hits him on the arm and goes, "Come on, Dad, I'll race you, Dad." And he takes off towards, home because dinner's ready. And his dad takes a few steps. And he grabs his heart, like he puts his hand over his heart, like clenches his heart. And you see him kind of start to shake. He's got this look on his face like he doesn't know what's going on. And he goes down on one knee, and then he falls. And Clark Kent turns around and says, "Dad, Dad!" And he runs over to him, and he's trying to pick him up and help him. And, in the director's cut, Richard Donner said that his dad was dead before he hit the ground. He died of a heart attack. He had a major, major heart attack. And he was dead. By the time Clark had got to him, he was already dead, man. One of these Widowmaker heart attacks, And next thing you know, they're at the funeral. And one of the things that his mom tells Clark, and this is a huge lesson for Clark Kent as Superman, the savior of the world, is his mom tells him, "You can't save everyone, Clark." That's the lesson from this. You can't save everyone. And Clark Kent says, "Mom, with all of my powers, all of my strength, all of my speed, and I couldn't save him. I couldn't save Dad." And that's when she tells him, "You're not going to be able to save everyone, Clark." Oh my God. It makes water come from my eyes. Anyway, number 5, heartbreaking movie scenes. Superman 1978. Clark's father dies. Next one on this list, I'm not going to lie. This is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. We're going to go to 1997, or 1996, around there, to a movie called Boogie Nights, when Mark Wahlberg plays the adult film star Dirk Diggler, which was just a funny movie, man. I worked at a deli at the time. Me and all my friends went to go see this movie. We just thought it was hilarious. But there's a couple of really sad scenes in this movie, and one of which is when Philip Seymour Hoffman, who, he's kind of like I think he's like a light guy on a porn set, or he holds the microphone or whatever on the set of the porn, and he kind of has a crush on Dirk Diggler. And, you don't know this. And him and Dirk Diggler are outside, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, he buys a new car, man. He buys like a Corvette or some type of convertible or something. And he says, he's trying to impress Mark Wahlberg, and he's like, do you like my car? And Dirk Diggler's like, "Yeah, man, it's a nice car." And he's like, "Oh, because like, if you didn't like my car, I was gonna bring it back. I was gonna return it if you didn't like it." And he's like, "No, I like it. It's just, it's not the car for me, man, but it's a good car. I like your car, And he's like, "Okay, because it's really important to me that you like my car, Dirk, because I think you're cool." And Mark Wahlberg's like, "Yeah, I think you're cool too, man." He's like, "Okay," and like he leans in to kiss him. And Mark Wahlberg's like, "What the F are you doing? Stop, man." He's like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. It's just, you're so hot and I really like you." And the whole scene is so sad because back then, if you were gay, you had to kind of like keep it a secret, you know what I mean? And then he fails at kissing him. And then he tries it again and he goes, can I just please kiss you on the, please, can I just kiss you? And Mark Wahlberg's like, "No, you F, get the F away from me, man, you queer, get away from me." And he's like, "I'm sorry, but if I could just please..." And he's like, "No, get away from me, man." And he pushes him away. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's not very handsome. He's kind of chubby. He's wearing like a belly shirt and his stomach's sticking out and his hair's kind of weird. And he's kind of a loser, ostensibly, And he's just left there by himself with this new car that he bought to impress Dirk Diggler because he loves him. And then the camera just hangs on Philip Seymour Hoffman. And for like the next, I don't know, maybe a minute or two, he just sits there beating up on himself. "I'm so stupid. I'm dumb. I'm an idiot. I'm so stupid." And he just keeps calling himself an idiot. And he's so dumb and he's so stupid. And when you watch this movie, like, you can't help, like, your heart breaks for this guy, you know what I mean? You almost cry a little bit. He expressed his feelings to his man crush, adult film legend, Dirk Diggler. And Dirk Diggler shoots him down because he's not gay. And he just, "I'm an idiot. I'm such an idiot." I'm laughing so I don't get emotional over it. But yeah, man, 1997, Boogie Nights. Philip Seymour Hoffman buying a car, thinking it's going to win over his gay crush, Mark Wahlberg, in a movie called Boogie Nights, is such a heartbreaking scene. Oh my God. It's a good thing I started drinking early today, guys. Anyway, let's move on. 2012. It was a good year. It was a good year. A movie called The Dark Knight Rises. Now, are there scenes in a Batman movie that are heartbreaking? Well, his parents get killed. That happens in all the movies, But there's one scene that always stuck with me. Alfred, played by Michael Caine, and through these 3 movies, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Alfred plays such an amazing Alfred. He really does. It's just a stupid movie about a guy dressed as a bat, but Alfred sells it like he's going for an Academy Award, you know what I mean? Anytime that Christian Bale would say something about the Waynes like, Alfred, I don't care about this stuff. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the money. Michael Caine was always there to remind him, please, sir, it's the only memory we've got of your parents, sir. Thomas and Martha Wayne, sir. They loved you dearly. And he's like, Alfred, I don't care about this house, Wayne Manor. And Alfred would be like, Sir, Wayne Manor is all we've got of your family, sir. And he just sells it so good. At the end of The Dark Knight Rises, when they think that Batman and Bruce Wayne dies, Alfred's standing over the grave of Bruce Wayne after everyone leaves. And he's just crying, and he's looking down. They bury Bruce Wayne next to his parents. So you've got Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, Bruce Wayne. And Alfred's having an emotional breakdown, and he looks down at Bruce Wayne's grave and he says, I failed you, sir. I failed you. And he's crying and blubbering. He's like, I should have done better for you, Master Bruce. I'm so sorry. I failed you, Master Bruce. And that scene is just like, it's just a dumb movie about a guy dressed as a bat, but the emotion that Michael Caine puts into that moment. And he says, I failed you, sir, because he promised his dad if anything ever happened, that he would look after his son, Bruce. And in some versions, Alfred doesn't want Bruce Wayne to be Batman because he knows he might die. In this version, he kind of helps him out. So Alfred feels like he's responsible. And when he dies, he feels like it's his fault, I failed you, Master Bruce. I failed you. Oh, my God. He does such a great job. And then, of course, you find out at the end that he's not dead. Alfred sees him in a cafe in Italy, and he's happy to see him, but he just nods, and he leaves Bruce Wayne alone to live his life with Catwoman Selena Kyle. But definitely, man, 2012, The Dark Knight Rises, the scene where Alfred Pennyworth stands over the grave of Bruce Wayne and tells him, I failed you, is a heartbreaking movie scene. All right, what else do we got here? 1996, a movie called The Crow 2. I love The Crow. I love The Crow like fat kids love cake. And, I was going to put a scene from The Crow 1 in here, but that movie's like, it's like a sacred cow. That movie shouldn't be on any list. Kind of like Pulp Fiction. They're such great movies. They kind of defy all lists, you know what I mean? The Crow 2. The father, his name is Ash, and his son, they get murdered by a gang. I think that what happens is, I haven't seen this movie in years, the father and son, they're working on the dad's motorcycle in his garage, and they look out and they see like the bad guys kill someone. Then the bad guys have to go and kill them because they can't have any witnesses. And what was so sad about this, it's sad when any family member dies, but they beat up the father, they beat up the kid, they take the father and son and they wrap them in barbed wire and they lower them down into essentially what's like Boston Harbor, the off the pier. Who knows how deep it is, but they're not going to live, you know what I mean? And the saddest part about this is, in The Crow 1, you have the Crow and you have his wife who die. Sad, it's horrible. They were going to get married in a couple days. On this one, it's his son. And his son's still kind of alive, and he's still kind of alive, and they lower him down into the water, and he has to be there, helpless, tied to his son while his son takes his last breath. It's one of the most heartbreaking things you see. And then, of course, he comes back to life when they get to the bottom of the harbor there, and this murky, dark water, and the Crow comes back and brings him back to life, but his son doesn't come back to life. And you just see the pain on this actor's face. It's a French actor, can't even remember his name, plays the character Ash. The pain and misery when I think he brings his dead son's body back up. And anyway, he finds the girl Sarah from the first Crow movie and tells her what's happened. And Sarah says, I know why you came back. You have to come back to avenge your son's death. But to die tied to your son is just one of the most heartbreaking things I can ever think of, right? And then, of course, he paints his face like the Crow and everything's cool in the gang, right? He goes and gets his revenge. Wow, 1996, The Crow Part 2. Father and son murdered, and he has to, be there helpless. Oh, my God. Ravex Podcast, episode 102, heartbreaking movie scenes. Guys, thanks for tuning into the show. Thank you. Number one, I was thinking of what would be like not the typical heartbreaking scene in a movie. And I remember 2007 movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. And there's a scene that always stuck with me, because Will Smith, he really sells the emotion in this particular scene. And it involves a dog, his dog Sam. Now, the only friend, partner he has, connection to the old world, is his dog Sam. Now, if you guys haven't seen I Am Legend, apocalypse virus wipes out everyone, turns people into like vampire, zombie, things. And they only come out at night. So in the daytime, you're safe. So Will Smith is out there. Also, he's kind of like the last man on Earth. And this is based on an old Charlton Heston movie called like The Omega Man, which is based on a book called I Am Legend or something to that effect. And, Will Smith can come out during the daytime and go get food, and he's got a VCR. He watches movies and runs on a treadmill. But at nighttime, these horrible, like, vampire zombie monsters come out. And something happens where he's out a little too late, And he's rushing to get home, and he's got his dog who will, attack the zombies if they try to come at him. But something happens to his dog, and his dog gets bit by like a zombie and gets infected. He grabs the dog, puts it in the back of the car, and takes it back to like the lab. But there's not much he can do for the dog. And the dog's crying, and Will Smith is sitting back there. He's sitting against the wall holding his dog, his only friend, and I believe like he got the dog for his kid or something like that, and when it was a puppy. And now he's got the adult dog, which reminds him of his wife and his kids, You see where I'm getting at, man. He loves this goddamn dog. And he's sitting against the wall, and the dog's bit, and he knows that it's only a matter of time before this dog turns into one of these infected zombie monster vampire things, And he's sitting back there, and the camera's kind of close up on just kind of the top of the dog and Will Smith's face, and he's holding the German Shepherd. And you see Will Smith's eyes start to well up, and kind of his eyes are getting red. And the dog's whimpering, and Will Smith is petting the dog. And then he looks at his hand, and the dog's hair is starting to fall out. And the dog goes from whimpering to growling, very subtly like, And Will Smith knows what he has to do. Because when that dog turns, it's going to try to bite his face off. It's not going to remember him. It's not going to be his friend. It's going to try to kill him. And Will Smith is holding that dog. He's got his arms around the dog's neck. And when the dog goes from whimpering to growling, Will Smith has to break the dog's neck. And it's so horrible because you see him start to cry. And he's looking straight ahead. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't look down at his only friend, this dog. He just slowly starts to squeeze around the dog's neck. And he breaks the dog's neck, man. His only friend, his only partner, his only connection to the old world. And then he drops the dog's dead body. And at that point, you realize that something inside of Will Smith dies with that dog, And it's one of the saddest moments. And it's a dog, I thought I was going to put number one on the list, like when the guy's wife dies and when his kid dies. But just that, being the last man on Earth, the only friend you have is this pooch. It gets bit, it gets infected, and you're the one that has to put it down. You're the one that has to kill your only friend. And a 2007 movie called I Am Legend, wow. If that isn't one of the most heartbreaking scenes in cinema, I don't know what is. Well, kids, that's going to wrap it up for me. I got stuff to do. Thanks for tuning in, man. Click like, subscribe. Find me on Bandcamp if you want to download this sad, miserable show that I just did. ravexmusic.bandcamp.com. That's right, ravexmusic.bandcamp.com. ravexmusic/youtube.com. Facebook.com, RaveXMusic. Guys, I'm everywhere. I'm like a bad rash. You cannot get rid of me. I would like to hear your input. What is like the saddest scene in a movie that you remember growing up or as an adult? Hit me up in the comment sections. Let me know, man. And, let me take care of some business right here. You guys know my band, Choose Your Power. We're all over the place, man. We put out that live album, Fractured Live, tearing up the charts. I see the downloads all the time. Like, you guys love the live album. So go to chooseyourpower.bandcamp.com and get yourself some Fractured Live. We got t-shirts. We've got all types of stuff, you know what I mean? Also, a song I put out maybe a month ago now, still on YouTube, tearing up the charts, like 180, 190 views, called They Can't Kill Us All from your boy Rock Hard Rave X, man. You know, check that out. And until next time, do me a favor, kids. Remember this. Monsters, real monsters, hide in the daylight. My name's Rave X. Enjoy yourself.
That was the Rave X podcast. Be sure to click like and subscribe. For podcasts, new music, and all things Rave X, go to youtube.com and search Rave X Music.